you have to remember to stay open and not stay rigid with what you want to achieve. That is one reason I got my mermaid certification. Thank you for asking.
Welcome to the final episode of Retrieving Sanity. Don't worry, it's not going away. A recovery podcast is here to stay, but we're transitioning to guidance and recovery after this episode. It's going to drop May 1st or Beltane. And on this episode, we're speaking to S.J. Tucker, one of my personal favorite artists. And she's teaching us all about whimsy, how it's powerful, and what we can do with a little bit of unconditional hope. Now, with that being said, let's dive right into an awesome conversation. Today, we are joined by someone who's been called the voice of lore and the face of neo-tribal paganism. S.J. Tucker is an award-winning singer, songwriter, and a road warrior who has lived her life as an independent artist for over 2 decades. And she's a master storyteller who blends Irish Celtic vibes with a fierce modern edge. But beyond the stage and fire spinning of sorts, Suj is a champion for the wounded heart, and she uses her music as a tool for social activism, reproductive rights, and deep spiritual healing. So, S.J. Tucker, how are you doing today? I'm super excited for this interview, so pardon me if I start going off the rails.
Yeah, y'all don't know this yet, but we became besties during the sound check. Like, we're already, like, this tight. And, Keegan, you had just been, your kindness in just getting to this moment is such a gift to me, and I really want to recognize you for that. Because we have been trying to get this interview to happen for months, and Keegan kept in touch and followed up in the gentlest, most respectful possible way. And it means so much to me when so much is hard in the world to have every interaction be easy with a person that I haven't gotten to meet face to face. So technically we are face to face, just with cameras and tech, and thank goodness for all the cameras and the tech. Even with all of the problems that they bring, that is not a challenge.
Yeah.
We're just going to roll smoothly today. So mote that shit. I am so happy to be here with you in this moment, virtually or otherwise.
Well, thank you, SJ.
And that intro was the shit. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. Of course. You deserve nothing but the best. And, you
That's
know.
right. Both of us. Both of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And you help people realize that with your music and everything. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to me because, like you were saying, we are face to face in a sense because we have all this tech. And in a sense, you know, they say that magic sometimes is just technology that we don't comprehend yet. And I'm sorry, but I still don't understand the internet. And it's
yeah, right. And thank goodness we don't have to understand all the things that work in order for them to work.
Yeah.
That is not on us. That is not on us. And I'm grateful that we're all connected enough to be connected in this way. And man, I just all the joy. All the joy. We got to find the joy in the whimsy. At this point, it's a matter of survival. So you and I are already ahead of the game today, I think.
Yeah, that's for sure. You did say something right there, though, survival. And I mean, that's kind of what we tend to do in life. We survive. And at the same time, it feels like we're barely hanging on by a thread, or maybe sometimes just in a black hole of sorts. So why don't we hear a little bit about your backstory? Because, like, who is S.J. Tucker? And I mean, so in the song Firebird's Child, is Solace actually your first name? Is that what the S is?
That would be so cool. So I am from the South. For anyone who does not know my work, I've been singing and writing and performing full-time since 2004. I was 24 that year. I turned 46 last month. And people are still listening. People are still turning out to shows, despite the fact that it's getting weirder and more expensive to travel and go and do things in person. And so many of my people safely cannot, because they have ended up with long COVID. They have ended up immunocompromised. And we adapt. And sometimes it's not fun. And I am grateful to have always had a gigantic well of support and also an ocean of privilege, which I acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
This entire time, a lot of people never figure out what they really want to do with their lives, or they're too busy just trying to get by to have an opportunity to follow their dreams.
Yeah.
I had many, many unfair advantages in those contexts, because I knew from the playground what I wanted to be and who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. I don't come from a professional musical family, although I do have one amazing cousin who's the other songwriter in the family. She's one of my mother's redheaded Yaya Louisiana cousins, and I always looked up to her. And then I found out she was a songwriter as well and had been published and stuff. So that was wild. I come from storytellers. I come from lay preachers. I come from community theater people, and I got my degree in theater.
Okay.
When I was much younger, and I get it. For a while, I was disappointed that I didn't stick with acting. But I was like, you know what? I looked around at my life, and as I do every day up to this point, and go, you know what? When I get paid, I'm getting paid to be myself.
Ooh.
So I win, I think. Like I said, I knew what I wanted to be from the jump.
Uh-huh.
I did not have an immediate family role model who was a musician in a professional sense, but my father was a junior high school band director, and he was my hero. He died at age 64 from Alzheimer's complications, and that happened my very first year as a full-time performer.
Oh,
so
man.
There's a lot that I've done that I'll never know his opinion of, and I get to decide that he would be proud. I get to choose that. I get to choose to believe that he would be proud. And my very best friend in this moment, in this town where I'm currently sitting, just happens to be the minister of the nearest Unitarian Universalist church. And
Wow.
she's retired from opera. She's a stone cold badass Aries, and we're in Aries season right now, so love you, all my Aries people. And her message this morning was on how the butterfly times are coming. We're not there yet. We're still in the goo. We're still in the goo between caterpillar and butterfly, and it sucks. But whether or not unconditional love is real is a whole separate discussion. But we can choose unconditional hope.
Ooh.
And she knocked my unconditional hope out of retrograde and made it go direct in that service this morning. And the reason that I was there, mainly not just because Reverend Renee is fabulous, but also because I am on the payroll there as church accompanist sometimes, which I think my dead relatives would be very proud of. I come from a long line of Methodist lay preachers.
Oh, okay.
Whether whether I look like it or not, it happens to be true. And they were all of the extremely inclusive, progressive kind. So I got very, very lucky and grew up in a church where I felt very safe with all of the adults. I did not feel so safe with my own age group. I was othered from about second grade. And most of us, I think, watching this know what that feels like. And when I was growing up, and I made up my mind very fiercely to learn to play guitar, whether I had a teacher or not, when I was 12 years old.
Wow.
And I asked my mother if I could please get her guitar out from under the bed. And she, of course, was kind and supportive about that. I was already a piano student. My great aunties, my grandfather's older sisters, taught me piano when I was young. So we even had a financial workaround for music lessons, because we had piano teachers in the family and several generations of school teachers.
Man.
But it was my great aunts who got me started when I was 6 years old. And then about 12, 13 was when I was allowed to choose my instrument and start school marching band. My father had retired by then, so I didn't get to be in his marching band. And I was real mad at him about that for a while. But like even the retired band director's kid. I was still the band director's kid. I knew I was going to be in marching band. It wasn't going to be basketball. It wasn't not that there are things I have talent for and things I do not. I am a petite and fabulous being, and petite and fabulous beings are the anomaly in basketball, but not necessarily in marching band. So I knew that was going to happen. And all of this growing up with my whole family with me in the choir loft, singing in church together. That's how I learned how harmony worked. And it just, and the very first time I stepped on stage in a community theater production in my teeny tiny hometown in Southeast Arkansas, which is deep in the Delta for y'all who don't know, where the mosquitoes will take all of the flesh off of your bones if you do not wear precautionary chemicals and essential oils, etc. There was, so the very first, the way that they tell it, and I was too young to know if this is true or not, so I can neither confirm nor deny. But my uncle swore that it was my family who dragged my hometown kicking and screaming into having a community theater program in the first place. So there we were. I'm 6 years old. It's Fiddler on the Roof. I'm holding hands with adults that I loved and trusted and respected. And we all come out, the whole cast in the opening number of Fiddler on the Roof as they're singing together. So I didn't know what stage fright felt like until I had several years of a career as a professional performer. And I was in my early 30s when I got my first taste of stage fright and depression and anxiety. And I had no framework for it until then. But
wow,
like I said, I've never woken up a day of my life and not known that there is someone else on this planet who loves me. And that is the root of where my privilege comes from, I believe. In a lot of ways, not in every way. I'm as white as they come. I have an American passport. And if I really, really got in a financial bind, I could call my mom and she would take me back. Not everybody has these things in place. That is not the norm. I wish it was. I wish that it were. But the deepest taproot, I think, of my privilege is that I've always known every single day of my life, I wake up and I know there's somebody else out there who loves me, near or far. And so it is my mission to project that out and ask the universe, ask source, ask deity, whichever you prefer to think of it as conceptually, please let me be the showerhead for what my audience needs today. Please let me be the showerhead. You and I were talking about how you have to remember to stay open and not stay rigid with what you want to achieve, whether it's a performance, whether it's podcast recording day, or whatever it is. You have to be a little bit flexible because if you're completely rigid, if you're so attached to a certain outcome, if the show to you is only going to be good if it goes a certain way and the way that you have it in your head, then you run the risk of missing out on a ton of amazing things.
Yeah.
And we could call it opportunities to be flexible, which is how I try to turn it around when things are not going my way and I'm on the road and Gatorade is in the microwave, aka Mercury retrograde, and things just are not going to fly. I don't know everything about the space rocks, by the way. I am, for the most part, talking out my ass when I talk about the zodiac and what the space rocks are doing. But theoretically, they tell me I was born during a retrograde, so it shouldn't affect me as much. And maybe that's another unfair advantage that I have, or another, let's say, significant advantage, not necessarily unfair advantage.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wrap this up and let you ask another question in just a second. But I want to go back to the playground for a minute.
Yeah.
Because I remember very clearly, I think it was 5th grade. I'm hanging out with my peers at the time. And everybody's going over. We're kind of in a circle in the grass. Everybody's just taking time. We didn't talk about this ahead of time. It just started coming out. And somebody goes, well, I want to marry a doctor. I want to marry a so and so. I want to marry a minister. I want to marry
Mm.
the president. I want to marry a rock star. And I was like, hold on. Wait, what? Why do you want to marry a rock star when you could be a rock star? So when
Ooh.
I say that I knew from the jump what I wanted to do, that's
Uh-huh.
the memory that I'm thinking of.
Huh. Oh man. That is way too cool. I mean, thank you for that background. And I mean, it is one of those that I love hearing about the love aspect because I think that that is super important in life, and a lot of us don't have that either growing up
Yes.
or lose it along the way. And maybe even some of us have a perverted version of what love is. And
Yes.
I think that that can keep a lot of people away from magic in their own right or finding themselves even because they're trying to have others fill a hole that only they can fill. And I mean, it's
10,000%.
amazing that, yeah, and it's amazing that you were able to sit there and like know what you wanted to do with your life at such a young age. And you also had the support to go and do it. So,
Yes.
I mean, just super congrats on all
Thank
that
you.
and for keep going
Well,
because,
and much respect to all the indie musicians who carved the pathway with their like just dragged their fingernails through the mud until there was a path for the rest of us to follow. Because
mhm,
I started trying to figure this out around 2001, and that
mhm,
was right when the internet and the entire music industry was changing to support
mm,
the idea that you didn't actually have to have a record deal to pull this off. So I
ooh,
came in right at the beginning of that,
huh,
and
huh,
you had Righteous Babe Records and I think was it Sub Pop out in Seattle and all of these mini indie labels. And I've never been signed to a label, indie or otherwise. That is not
huh,
the journey that I'm after. I've had
yeah,
offers that I fortunately, and I was much younger when these occurred. I'm
mhm,
really grateful to past Suge, to past me,
mhm,
for realizing that what I needed to make sure of before I signed anybody else's paperwork was, were they going to be able to offer me a better life than the one that I could build by myself on my own?
ooh,
And the answer was always, no, ma'am, they cannot. They cannot offer you a better life than you will be able to build on your own. And no one is perfect. No one's
mhm,
record is spotless. We all have something problematic about us. When I wrote to Ani DeFranco's indie record label when I was 21, 22, and I
uh-huh,
said, I just wrote them to ask. I just wanted to say, just to see what would happen. Mainly, I wrote and I said, hey, y'all, I know you're busy. I know exactly how hard you are working right now because you're one of my models of trying to figure this out. What would, if I sent you an audition tape, if I sent you a demo, what would happen? And that was how I worded it as respectfully as I could in my email to them. And they wrote me back, Keegan.
huh,
Somebody
wow,
from Righteous Babe wrote me back. And they said, honestly, we want to encourage you to figure it out on your own because it's going to be that much more powerful if you
huh,
go for it with all of your own steam. And they were fucking right. They were so
damn,
right. And there are hundreds of thousands of millions of us indie musicians doing it our own way on
mhm,
our own level out in the world. I have an entire community of other performers that a lot of people will never ever hear. There are people that are never going to know my name, and I don't stress out about that
mhm,
because the fan base and the community that I have been blessed to acquire over the
mhm,
past 20, 21 years, 22 years of doing this, and
huh,
the 22nd birthday of my very first record release is next week. It's this week.
whoa,
It's Friday. So as
huh,
we're filming today, it's March 22nd.
huh,
And my very, very first scrappy little CD release was March 27th, 2024. It's my mom's birthday.
wow, that's
So
awesome,
that's that's how long I've been working at this, trying to figure it out one day at a time. And
Mm-hmm.
at this point, yeah, I'm sitting here getting to do this really fun interview with you,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have to clear it with my team, because my team is me. This is the team right here. I didn't have to do hair and makeup necessarily. I could have if I
Huh.
wanted to, but nobody was going to yell at me for not doing it. I am the boss. The goals, so many of the goals I have had are
Mhm.
met in this point in time. And having that in my heart, along with
Mhm.
everything that is in chaos right now, and everything that we are all going through collectively on this planet, collectively here in the US, those of us with any compassion and empathy whatsoever,
Mhm.
having that in my heart really is helping me be one of the people who can be part of the hope that other
Mhm.
folks have left. And that is what I
Mm.
have always continuously wanted to be. I want to be
Mm.
part of the hope that we've
Oof.
still got.
Oh man, that
So
is
that's
beautiful.
why I run my own shit. That's why I produce my own work most of the time. That's
Huh.
why the only song of mine that's ever won an award, specifically the song won an award, is
Uh-huh.
my Cheshire Kitten song, is rooted in
Huh.
Lewis Carroll.
Uh-huh.
I get
Yeah.
to bring all the whimsy all the time if I want to. And nobody
Uh-huh.
can tell me, no, you can't do that. They're not going to take you seriously. I don't have
Mm.
to take that shit seriously.
Yeah. Oof.
So I
I've
can
never
write
heard it
about
put that way.
whatever I want, and I frequently do.
Yeah.
And there are communities of people that want what I am able to conjure forth.
Hmm.
And that's what I've asked for. Let me be the
Yeah.
shower head for what my listeners need most.
Yeah.
That's what I
Oh
care
man.
about. That's what I care about. And I also really pay attention to the muse, the genius, as it were, that
Mhm.
wants to speak through me. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's really upsetting and painful and difficult, and sometimes
Mm.
it's effortless.
Hmm.
And when you
Okay.
are in the stressful, difficult version of that is when
Mhm.
you have to hold out for the effortless days, because they're going to
Mm.
come again.
Mhm. Oof.
I know, easy for me to
Oof.
say, right? Easy for me to say, but I say it
Yeah.
because I have found it to be true. It has been true for me personally.
Yeah. It's kind of like that whole thing where like people hate the anecdotes or the old sayings or whatnot, and it's like, well, they're tried and true for a reason for a lot of people. But uh, you said something about the Cheshire Kitten, and I mean, in that song itself, you're saying like if you can find it in your daydreams, you can find it at your job too, right?
Yeah. If you can find it in your dreams, you can find it at your day job. Or if you can find it in
There
your
we go.
daydreams, you can find it at your job. I think both of those work just fine. You may have
Sorry.
coined, it may come out of my mouth now next time I try to sing it. It may come out that way.
Oh.
Instead.
Oh.
But
Sorry.
everybody will love it. Everybody will love it if that happens. Because that's
Fair.
the nuances make us human.
Yeah.
And it remind other people that we are just as human as they are.
Yeah, and I mean, being human is hard though, isn't it? Is that
So
why you went and got your mermaid certification?
that is one reason I went and got my mermaid certification. Thank you for asking. I went to mermaid camp down in Florida with a brilliant company of teachers called Mermaid Freedive. You can look them up at mermaidfreedive.com. And they gave me my basic freedive and my Patty Mermaid certification. So I have a card in my wallet that says I am competent to dive in open water with a mermaid tail.
Huh.
That is my weird COVID hobby that never went away. And I'm happy to report that the mermaids have entered the resistance, because the company that I like to buy my fabric tails from, Finfolk Productions, founded by two twin sisters who got their start at a Ren Fair. My friend.
Huh.
They made it very
Whoa.
clear, like, we are not here for ice. We are not here for this nonsense. And so I'm like, look, I knew I chose the right community. I knew I chose the right people.
Just a quick interruption. Just a reminder, leave a like, leave a comment if you haven't already, and hit subscribe so that you can be up to date with the latest episodes as they come out.
I would need to backtrack a little bit because I
Okay.
unintentionally pulled a fast one. You asked if Solace was my first name. So two stories. First one,
Okay.
and I started to tell this, and then we went down a rabbit hole like we knew we were going to do.
Uh-huh. Yep.
The rabbit. I need this T-shirt now. The rabbit hole in me recognizes the rabbit hole in you. There's a story. I guess it's more like a story and a corollary, or a story and a story and a corollary. Story number one is that I am from the South, which I mentioned starting out. And sometimes we get to have really, really weird or really archaic or really awesome compound first names growing up in the South.
Yeah.
And my awesome Southern female compound first name is Susan Jane. And pretend there's no space in between the two, even though there is.
Uh-huh.
But it was my favorite uncle, who was the most recent of the Methodist ministers that I'm kin to, the progressive, inclusive Methodist ministers that I'm kin to, who started calling me SJ when I was growing up and figuring out who I was. And he was my hero. We were doing community theater together, the two of us we were like commuting together to play practice, he and I, up until I was almost an adult. So he was my hero. He stayed in community theater even when his ministry became the focus of his life, even when he got properly ordained. Really, really late in life, which is amazing because that's proof that you can do things like that, even if it didn't happen to you when you were young. And so when I go by S.J. Tucker, the S.J. stands for Susan Jane, and I get to smile and remember my uncle every single time. Every single time I use it, every single time it's in graphic design for the next release that I've got, whatever it is. So story number two, which spurs off of this in a nice way, is almost exactly 20 years ago this month, I met one of my dearest friends in this life, New York Times bestselling author, Catherine M. Valenti. She is a brilliant fantasy writer. She writes sci-fi, she writes fantasy, she writes speculative fiction, she writes horror. And she and I had our baby sons a month apart to the day.
Wow.
And we met 20 years ago this month and immediately fell ass over tea kettle in love with each other's work. I could not believe she knew who I was before we met. I was not used to that happening ever anywhere. But we were at an event called Lunacon in New Jersey. Lunacon 2006. She was an author guest. I was a music guest. That's how we met. I do a lot of sci-fi cons and things like that when I'm lucky. That's one of the scenes that I get to claim as a musician. My home scene is pagan festivals, the pagan music world, which is teensy tiny. And we all really look out for each other and care about each other and check on each other. My colleague Ariana in Maryland recently passed away of liver cancer. And we are all grieving her all at once, even though some of us, myself included, hadn't got to hang out with her in years and years. And my bond with Kat is every bit as strong as it is with my musical colleagues, because almost since the second we met, I've been inspired to write songs inspired by her work. I have multiple record releases that would not exist if she had not written the things that she's written. The Wonders album, most notably, I think. And that one stands on its own in beautiful ways, because a whole lot of people have told me that Wonders is a fight song for them.
Yeah, it is.
And it's become a fight song for me, even more so than it was when I wrote it. But so here's me and Kat, and she hands me, before we part ways at the end of the con, she hands me a paperback of her poetry collection called Apocrypha. And to this day, I have not read the last poem in that book because I am spooked that if I finish that book, that very first book that she handed me herself,
Huh.
when we traded with each other, we went out to lunch and just wanted to keep talking on every second. And we still are close, and we text each other all the time to this day. We send each other pictures of our offspring. I have not read the last poem in that book because I'm afraid if I do, she's going to disappear from my life.
Oof.
And I know it's not true, but I'm just magical realist enough to worry about it. So I told her the truth about this because I knew she was in the whimsy life, just like me for the most part. And I knew she wouldn't be like, "You're weird," and stop talking to me when I said that. And her response to me being truthful with her about how I was scared that if I read the last poem in that first book that she gave me, that we wouldn't get to be friends anymore for some weird magical reason that I can't fully explain. Like it was a fairy curse or something. Her response was to say, "Oh, well, here, have the manuscript I just finished for my next novel. It's called The Orphan's Tales in the Night Garden. This way you have more of my stuff that you can read to keep you company." So I then spent the next 2 days in the airbed in a friend's house in Rhode Island, doing nothing but read that manuscript on my laptop. I could not stop. And The Orphan's Tales duology is still in print. If you want, you could go to Kat's YouTube channel and watch her read both books in segments, because that is what she did during the COVID lockdowns. Almost every single night for a while, she would go on Instagram Live and read a section of The Orphan's Tales to us, live and on camera. And she archived all of that, and it's on her YouTube channel now, and it's extraordinary. And the songs began to pour out of me.
Wow.
And that summer, I went back to see her. And that's when it really started, because apparently a group in Europe had written an album inspired by her novel, The Labyrinth, which is a trip and a half. And somebody within earshot of me that during that visit said, "Well, wouldn't it be cool if somebody did that for The Orphan's Tales?" And about 2 hours later, I came up from her basement and played her the first song that I had written about The Orphan's Tales, which is my song, "The Girl in the Garden." And about the main storyteller, protagonista of both of those books. And the reason that this ties into what SJ stands for, and does the S stand for solace, is because solace is, as you know, the Firebird's child. And she is the Firebird's child, and she tells her story in the second Orphan's Tales book, which is called The Orphan's Tales in the Cities of Coin and Spice.
Ooh.
Her first name is Solace, and she later finds out she has a sister whose name is Sorrow.
That's why she. Yep.
Ooh. Now solace, sorrow, round and round. Yep. That's where that comes from in the lyrics. There's so many little nested Easter eggy things that I got to pull from Kat's words directly from the page and into a song. And she was cool with that. Like, she has told me, she has said in interviews when we were being interviewed together, because we did entire tours over the years, and we were going to bring these back because we both miss it fiercely, where she would give readings and I would give songs that suited the reading in context. And almost all of the songs were brand new things that I had written inspired by her work, including up to and including Firebird's Child. And on that visit where I wrote The Girl in the Garden, I spun fire in her driveway in Chagrin Falls, Ohio. And she got to hear how the fire sounds when you do that, when a fire spinner is doing their thing. And it is a very addictive sound if you like that kind of flow arts practice, which I very much do. I've been a fire spinner since 2004.
Nice.
And New Year's Eve is my anniversary, so I got to do a big driveway burn at another friend's house on this past New Year's Eve, and it was wonderful. So,
wow.
but the reason that Solace and Firebird's Child and Cat Valenti and the Orphan's Tales and all of this ties in with you asking me if the S in SJ stands for solace is because I am part of the dedication of that second Orphan's Tales book.
Huh.
And Solace has a line in the chapter where she tells her story where she says, fire makes this great roaring sound when it dances and spins. Did you know that? We hear it in our dreams.
Ooh.
So I am not entirely Solace, the Firebird's Child in the Orphan's Tales, but there is a tiny piece of me in that character because Kat and I became friends, met up at a con, and could not stop the friendship once it got started.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That is one heck of, I mean, that the tie-ins are just crazy because not only that, you brought up Wonders, and like Wonders is probably the song that's gotten me through a lot of dark times in the last couple of years, you know?
Me too, actually. Whew, same, hard same.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting because in Firebird's Child, I also always thought that like you were just playing like words, not words, but like, you know how we can't sit there and dismiss our sorrow. Like there's something we need to do with our sorrow. And in the song, it's like, hey, like we're going to walk, but then you say, let's dance together. And I'm like, oh, I love that because you're not, it's kind of like Eeyore with the whole like 100 Acre Wood group, you know, it's like, they don't sit there and go, oh, you're just going to be a bummer. So no, it's like, no, you're going to come along with us and we're just going to have you here for the ride.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, we're not going to leave. We're not leaving Eeyore behind just because he's sad.
Yeah.
No, that's not how love works. That's not how family works.
Oh man.
Thank you for letting me go through that entire nested thing. It's very appropriate because the Orphan's Tales is a whole set of nested stories where you start with one character telling the story, and then a character in her story starts telling their story, and then a character in that character's story starts telling a story, and it just keeps going around, and it comes back to itself originally, and that's basically my life. Like, and I come from storytellers in the first place, but I look around and I'm like, good grief, I am just walking nested stories at this point, and I really wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, and I mean, I just hope that I can get to the point where I can tell stories like you do, because it's amazing hearing stories like this, because you never know how interconnected life really is until you kind of ask the right questions, or you are able to see past the blinders that you may put on yourself or you had others put on you and you never wanted to take off.
And it's so scary to take them off. It's scary to take them off. Yeah. We are so brave when we go there because it's fucking scary. Yeah. But that's the unknown, right? And I have dear friends and colleagues who have expressed to me that they believe that magic exists in that place that humans have never been able to measure, that is the unknown. And we can't ever reach it if we don't get past our fear of the bad things that might happen. If we don't push through, like Space Mom says, do the thing, be scared, but do the thing anyway. She also said, take your meds, which I will swear by as well. But that's again, that comes back to Wonders the song, not just as well as Wonders the record, but specifically Wonders the song. I don't get to write lyrics like, and I promise I'll keep trying, even if I get tired, and give up. Those two things don't get to exist at the same time. So, like I said, I have colleagues who believe that magic exists in that unknown space, because we've been trying to get the calendar to make sense and all of that shit since Caesar was around, and there's always a little bit of time and a little bit of the calendar that doesn't fit what we try to force it into.
Yeah.
And the same is true of the space between performer and audience,
Hmm.
because you don't know how they're going to react, and they don't necessarily know what you're going to bring. But there's trust. There's immense amounts of trust there. So when I'm on stage, when I'm blessed enough to be in front of a live audience in these
Mhm.
crazy wild times where it's not always safe to get together,
Yeah.
I go in assuming that I am there to be a healer in
Mhm.
one aspect or other. I don't claim the title healer necessarily, but I know that I
Uh-huh.
have given healing to people in the course of my life and work and career.
Mhm.
And I don't want to change that. I want that. I want to be of use. I want to bring joy. I want to be part of the hope, like I already said.
Yeah.
So when I'm on stage in front of a live group of people, whether it's a living room or a library concert hall or something like that, or a convention,
Uh,
or a big
Mhm.
outdoor thing like a Pagan Pride Day,
Mhm.
I go in assuming that two things: that the audience is putting their emotional well-being into my hands and into my care. I have to be willing to do the same with mine where they're
Oh,
concerned,
okay.
which makes me have to remember, especially lately, when I've been
Mhm.
going through voice therapy to try to correct a gap in my vocal folds and a vocal tremor that I've acquired over the years, that my most recent voice therapist said, I can't fix this for you. And my vocal coach, meanwhile, is saying, we will fix this. And I'm just in the middle, just hanging on for dear life, like, okay, I'm going to go with the I can fix this.
Huh.
I've had to remember the audience wants me to succeed. And the
Mhm.
people that take the time and make the effort to show up to a live event to see me sing
Mhm.
are not there to judge me. They are there to connect with me. And that
Mhm.
means they are there to connect with whatever version of me I've got, whatever voice I've
Mhm.
got, whatever energy I've got. It doesn't matter what's not there as long as
Mhm.
I keep showing up.
Mhm.
And you want to talk about opportunities to be kinder to yourself and a little bit
Mhm.
less self-critical, because I am a monster bitch to myself as far as my standards of perfection and performance and getting every pitch just right. You can't. You cannot. And that will kill a bitch. In the words of my vocal coach, that will kill a bitch. Stop it.
Yeah.
She also
Yeah.
said to me, no one has a perfect voice. Thank
Mm.
gods. There are some Beyonce is out
Huh.
there being Beyonce. She is the best
Huh.
Beyonce that there could ever possibly be. I don't have to be that. Nobody can be a better Suge than I can.
Yeah.
So all I have to do is keep showing up. And there are days when I'm sharing this because the hope is here. This is not a complaint.
Mm.
This is me hoping that what I say is going to help some of y'all. I came around to the realization on this trying to be nicer to me journey and having random joint pain that made my hands stop working for several weeks back
Mm.
in August and leading into all the way up through November last year,
Mm.
and which is terrifying for a guitar player.
Yeah.
And it's much better now. I just like I said, opportunities to be kinder to yourself. I
Mm.
came around to the realization that even when I don't love my voice, I still love my
Mhm.
job. I
Mm.
really do. I
Yeah.
still love my work. Even when I'm not
Huh.
happy with what I'm able to do that day,
Mm.
physically, energetically, vocally, I still
Mhm.
like my job. I don't
Mm.
want any other job than the one I got.
Yeah.
So that helped a whole lot. And like I would rather be dissatisfied with my voice because of what I'm going through
Mm.
every day for the rest of all my days than quit.
Mm.
So there's
Oh.
all the motivation that I need right there to just keep showing up and hold immense faith that there's magic in what I do. If I just
Yeah.
remember, that the magic is there. which is really tricky to do when your inner judges are screaming at you and telling you that you are the worst because you can't sing this part of this song this exact way.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Ugh, no thanks.
No gracias. So
No
these are
gracias.
these are the shadows
Mm-hmm.
that everybody who believes in me and what I do, even on the days when I can't, are helping me to fight.
Man, thank you for opening up and letting us know about that. And I'm just so glad that your hands are starting to feel better and
Hey,
everything with your voice
yeah.
is going.
If anybody wants to know more about what I went through, you can message me anytime. I've got a really cool new website at sjtucker.com that I got to rebuild from nothing this past
Oh.
fall. I did not know that I knew how to do that, but there are website frameworks out there that make it really friendly for musician types that never thought they were going to be wearing 18 different job hats in the course of doing one job, which is singing an instrument singing an instrument, right? Exactly. I use singing this instrument right here, playing an instrument and singing for people. I also am social media manager and road manager and booking agent. And even though sometimes I pretend that I'm a separate person when I'm making booking inquiries, a lot of us do that, by the way. Trade secrets. Forget I said that bit. Website, web mistress, copyright experts, data entry, just so many things as part of the whole dance of being an entrepreneur. But at the heart of it is just me wanting to keep whimsy in the world for the people who need it in the moment that they encounter me, which is why I write about the Cheshire Cat and Wendy and Peter Pan and all of Cat Valenti's characters and whatever Selkies and mermaids and learning how to be a mermaid. And I'm going to keep living that authentically whimsical life as much as I possibly can, especially in the face of everything that we're dealing with collectively right now. That's my lane right there. I show up at the protest with a drum that says "This machine makes good trouble," drawn onto the head, and I mean it.
Nice.
I mean it. I want to be sending that energy out every time that I play, and like I said, just be the channel for what's going to help somebody else when it comes through. It just in my case, it's just going to come through sometimes looking and sounding like it belongs on the Muppet Show, and I make no apologies for this. I was raised by the Muppets. I was raised by them looking into my little toddler face and singing, "Keep believing, keep pretending." That is why I'm like this. But I'm also like this because of a ton of people, a ton of loving, compassionate, open-hearted, open-minded, brilliant people. And the best fan base on the fucking planet.
Yeah. Oof. Oh, yeah.
I remember when I was 14 years old or so, still learning to play guitar, just starting to write songs, and I'm all alone in my bedroom in my small town with no close friends because nobody my age wanted anything to do with me. And I'm just practicing guitar and I've got my little eyes closed and I'm thinking, I know my people are out there and I will find them someday. Now I have proof. Even when we can't get to each other and I have to look at y'all through our screens, I know my people are out there.
Yep. And I've heard it put in the recovery rooms of like little phone fairies or something like that because so, and I mean, it's just amazing that you have this kind of enthusiasm, this everlasting hope within, because that's what we need.
Hope. I don't know. Renee admitted this morning, this is Reverend Renee Jansky of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Fayetteville. They stream every single week. If y'all want to look them up, it's a brilliant little community congregation that I'm proud to serve, sometimes by showing up and being a guitar player these days. Renee said she is not sure if she is the first person to coin the phrase unconditional hope, but we're keeping that one. We're keeping that one.
Yeah. Unconditional hope. I mean, it reminds me of there's a song by Fall Out Boy, and he says that he's hopelessly hopeful. And the first time I heard that, I was like, oh, I like that. I'm going to have to run with that one. But it's hard to find hope sometimes, you know?
Fuck.
So
we are in it.
Yeah.
We are in it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to pull back and take a day of rest before you can get back in the fight.
Mm-hmm. Four of Swords.
And then you go back in the fight in your frog costume. So, like, we have proven in recent months that whimsy makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I'm so fucking here for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I mean, I don't want to give any attention to shit that doesn't need it, so we're not going to.
It's my fault. I brought it up. I repent.
But we never know what someone else is going to need to hear whenever they hear it. So someone out there needed to hear it. So, I mean, there's no harm, no foul, no nothing. I mean, no, not nothing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No permanent damage.
Yeah, no permanent damage. Real quick, we are near the end of this recording, unfortunately, and this time has just flown by. So I do have to ask, do you think that we could see you on in the future, even if it takes another... Say what?
Can we please?
Yes.
Because I feel like you and I are very much not finished with this conversation, and that makes me really happy. Frustrated with the constraints of space-time, but let's please do more. Okay, we worked long and hard to get to this moment. We survived a lot. We deserve more.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, one question that I have is like, okay, so you grew up with the family that you did. So how did you find your way into witchcraft?
I love this question.
Or is that a whole...
No, I will try to keep it succinct, we'll say.
Okay.
So I got a pile of scholarships to a little teeny tiny private Presbyterian college on top of a mountain in Northeast Arkansas. And because it was a Presbyterian college, there were theology requirements for your freshman year. Okay. And so there was one teacher who was Lutheran. He was Missouri Synod Lutheran, and apparently at the time, I do not wish to speak out of turn or disrespect anyone's path. That group of people had strange ideas about what women should be allowed to do and think and be that did not resonate with me. So when I was in intro to Christian theology class with this professor, who I did not resonate with in a positive way, and one of my extremely devout Christian classmates, when we were discussing the new King James and the Apocrypha, he asked, "Wait a minute, what about Lilith, Dr. So-and-so?"
Oh, whoa.
And he wouldn't even talk about her. He said, "Oh, that's just a Judaic myth," and moved on. And I was like, bet. And that was the moment at which I says to myself, we have outgrown the faith of our childhood. We wish them well. It is time to seek the divine on our own terms. And not long after that, I made my very first friend in Northeast Arkansas. People were everywhere who referred to herself as Wiccan, who lived with a Wiccan path as part of her life. The very first, like the second year of college, was when I made my first close friend who was Wiccan, who was pagan. She referred to herself as Wiccan Catholic because there's a lot of crossover with the candles and the incense. Yeah, once again, not trying to speak out of turn here, but then when I graduated from college and moved to Memphis, Tennessee, had already had a recommendation for a pagan group to reach out to there in town, right there in Memphis. And I did. And I went to my first little public meeting of theirs at somebody's house and made a fuck ton of friends very quickly. And they hired me to sing at their Yule party the next month and embraced me entirely and
Wow.
loved me entirely and encouraged me. Some of the teachers in that community encouraged me to find other witchy events out of state. And so the first time I performed at a witchy event in front of strangers who did not stay strangers for long was July 2002 in Willow Springs, Missouri.
Wow.
On a private-owned pagan land that I'm still friends with the people who own that place.
Ooh.
And still love them to death. Other pagan musicians, as a matter of fact. The ticks are terrible. The vibe is immaculate. So that was sort of my witchy point of origin. But where my music and my magic intersect is a little bit different. Because I do identify easily, comfortably with the term pagan. I almost prefer just to say witchy these days. But I do have strong relationships and preferential relationships with certain god forms. But the main thing for me is not the religious aspect. The main thing happened when I was driving between my day job at the time and my recording session for that first record that's about to turn 22 years old in Memphis on the loop coming around the backside of 240 like you do. And Earth and Sky comes on NPR, and they begin to discuss the first information that I had heard about a black hole in the Perseus galaxy that had been emitting the same pitch for untold amounts of time. And that scientists at Cambridge had figured out how to measure that pitch. And that pitch was B flat. And I got so excited, I almost ran off the road. And they're still talking about this black hole. And it is still singing 20 years later.
Wow.
And it's B flat, 52 octaves below middle C. It is not something that we are built to be able to hear. But they still figured out that it was B flat. And so from that little kernel of knowledge, what made me so excited was that it's not much of a stretch to say that music is part of everything.
Yeah.
So that's the scientific little, at least science adjacent piece of excitement that I live inside at all times. And if I can remember that there's magic in what I'm doing, when I am doing it, I tap into that universal connection that music makes me part of. Because everything has a vibration. It's not that much of a stretch to say that everything has a song to it. Everything is connected to music because vibration is how we get sound and music in the first place. And our little atoms are vibrating all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm just a little bit like, just over here, just a little bit from the science. And there's so much science wrapped up in music in the first place. And ethnomusicologists will tell you this. People who practice sound healing will tell you this. Music therapists will tell you this. And we all have a little bit different, it's all got a little bit different cast to how we phrase it. But it's basically the same thought, I feel. And it's the same connection. It's different ways to express that same connection.
Huh.
And it just makes me feel good to remember that it's not that much of a stretch to say that music is part of everything. If there's a damn black hole up there somewhere that's been chanting B flat at us, and we only recently figured out how to measure that in the first place. Not that much of a stretch to say that music is present in everything, everyone, and everything.
Yeah. I love that because I'm right there with you. I agree. And I mean, I've heard the universe. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone else really say that. And it's a crazy sound.
Oh, yeah. You and I got to talk some more. This is not enough. Sorry.
No, it's not.
Not enough. So we've decided this is not the end. And that makes me very happy.
Same here.
Have you said anything? Have you plugged the fact that you're about to rebrand all the things?
I have done a little bit of a solo episode. So yeah, it's kind of out there. I'm still trying to figure out like how exactly everything is going to go, but I think it's right there to where I was like, this is actually probably the last time I started recording with "Welcome back to Retrieving Sanity," and I was like, oh man, that's kind of bittersweet. But at the same time, I was like, ooh, it feels good at the same time.
Man,
Because
I have to tell you that my husband is delighted by the title "Retrieving Sanity" because when I told him this is what I was going to do today, and the scheduling issues that you and I had, where I had to wait and then I had to wait some more, he said you had to go retrieve some sanity before you could do this interview, and I said you're exactly right. But that doesn't mean that the next title and framing of this podcast world that you have created to benefit all the rest of us isn't going to be just as dope.
Yeah, I hope I can just take it one step a little bit better to reach the people that need to hear it, you know? So
it's all going to fall into place.
Yep.
I'm telling you.
Yep, just got to keep that unconditional hope
Unconditional hope. We need t-shirts.
Yeah.
Somebody get on that. Run with it, please.
Whimsy, unconditional hope. I
yes.
love it.
Unconditional whimsy. Hashtag unconditional whimsy. Hashtag unconditional hope.
Oh, okay.
Hashtag break open all the concentration camps. Yesterday, please.
Yeah. No,
and bring vitamins and sandwiches.
Ooh, vitamins. That's an important one.
Bring emergency. Yeah, I know, and it's not enough. And it will never give back the time that folks have lost who have been unjustly detained and incarcerated.
Yeah.
But unconditional hope that situation too will improve.
Yep. And I think if we can just throw it out there in our subconscious a little bit, then the universe will start making things move a little bit towards that way. But that's also the scary thing is we don't know how it's all going to happen. So we just kind of got to go with the flow. And that's hard.
It's so hard. It's again with Renee's message at the UU Church today. It's hard when you're in the goo to hold on to the thought that the butterfly times are coming next. And maybe it won't even be that long. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, whenever we're in the middle of it, that's whenever it seems like it's never going to end. And then as soon as we're on the other side, it's like, oh, wait, I went through that? Nah, it was nothing.
Yep.
So
take it from a breast cancer survivor. Everybody get checked. It will, when you make it through something like that and you look back and you go, oh yeah, that happened. It's wild. You go, whoa, I survived more than I thought I could.
Yeah.
And may more of us survive than not.
I'm right there with you. And I'm hoping that, well, I'm going to also do what I can to make sure that happens, you know? So.
Yeah, that's the thing. We learn, we do, we rest when we must, and then we learn some more and we do some more. And we take care of each other the whole time. And we already know how to do those things.
We just get so preoccupied with all the other bullshit and in between all of it that it makes it easy to lose sight. But S.J. Tucker, Suj, it has been an absolute honor and a pleasure having you on. And I just cannot wait for our next conversation. And I mean, I'm already excited enough. I don't even know what words I need to say.
You, sir, are a goddamn delight. And I am lucky to have gotten to spend some time with you today.
Oh, likewise. And it's right back to you. So thank you, Suj. And
thank you.
Everyone out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. And as always, try to love yourself, love others if you can, but you got to try to love yourself first. Be your favorite version of yourself that you can today. And if you're having a mental health crisis, you can dial 988 or text 741-741. If you're in the LGBTQ plus community, you can dial the Trevor Project up in Canada. And we'll see y'all next time. And I mean, just try to have some unconditional hope. And we'll see y'all in the future. Much love. Shalom.